Hi everyone. So starting off this target, I'm picking up a level land that feels to be man-made. There is a bit of water here. When I take a deep breath in, it feels like sort of man-made sort of smells, like fumes mixed with heat. Not very comfortable to breathe. There is one particular dominant structure here, but as I look around, there's multiple structures and it feels like it's a city. I'm picking up that there's subjects moving around. They're inside the structures, outside the structures. I'd say this topography might be like it's slightly hilly, or maybe that there's a distant mountain. There's one non-surface structure as I look up, and it has like a curve to it. There's subjects inside this non-surface structure. The whole environment, if it's bright, when I'm looking at it, the light here is quite bright. I would say this is an urban environment with some foliage. There's lots of activity by subjects, by objects, a kind of buzz of sounds. I also pick up some heat energetics here, hot temperatures, and I would say the dominant structure that I'm picking up here is a domed structure. Alright, so now let me move to my flash sketches. These are just general perceptions that were coming to me. So for the very first one, here I have this domed structure that I mentioned. It's domed and then it ends at with a little peak at the top, and then there are surrounding structures all through. But this here seems to be the structure that stands out the most in this environment. Alright, moving on. Here I have this kind of hilly topography. There is foliage at the base surface, and then I have this non-surface structure that's moving upward. When I move inside, I pick up that there are a few subjects inside. Okay, so now here I'm picking up a dominant subject with other subjects behind him. So the dominant subject here seems to be male, kind of shorter hair, a slightly stockier build, wearing formal clothing, and then I could just see on the back that there were rows of subjects just kind of standing behind him. So now for this particular perception here, I have what looks like an urban environment with structures that are close together. I was getting this object. Here on the back side, you can see an object that is falling down onto the base surface and causing energetics and heat, almost like an explosion. Yeah, that's what I have for this sketch. Alright, now here I'm picking up a harsh natural environment, slightly hilly, kind of like some dry looking foliage, but it's sparse. And then I was picking up a structure and subject, but this structure and subject are beneath the base surface itself. So here you can see a little bit of an opening that's facing the base surface, facing the ground. The structure extends downwards. Here I have a few subjects that are within several compartments under the base surface. I called this location X. Alright, so now I'm going to focus in on focus 1. So here my initial perceptions are of an outdoor environment. I'm seeing beige or brown colors. This environment feels dry with sparse foliage, almost like a little bit of a deserty type feel to it. I'm getting that there are several male subjects here, some structures and vehicles in the immediate area, and it doesn't feel like a permanent setup. And I deducted the Taliban because of the environment, subjects, their clothing that looks quite specific. These subjects' clothing, it feels like it's layered. I'm also picking up wrapped headgear, and their skin tone looks to be like a brownish tan skin tone. I get the feeling of heat around here, and then there's smaller subjects present, but they just feel like they're off to the side. So a brief sketch of this is this kind of hilly topography. It's quite dry, there's vehicles, there's structures around, and then there's a few subjects. Here's a zoomed in version of one of the subjects. You can see They have facial hair, they have kind of like a turban wrapped around their head, and their clothing is crisscrossy on their chest. I called this subject F. Okay, so now I'm going to move to location X. So dialing in on this location, this is a secluded area. It looks like it's at the outskirts of an urban environment. I'm getting that there's several hills that are surrounding this area. The environment is dry. The main hue here is like a tan brown hue. Patches of foliage around here as well. Here I'm getting a feeling of something hidden or more than meets the eye. There's a structure above the surface and it looks like it's rectangular, kind of simple, but then I sense another much larger, much more complex structure that's sitting beneath the surface here. So for this I deducted a factory or a chemical plant. Moving around, I'm sensing some tech objects. Now this is below the surface. Tech objects here, it's a clean environment and I'm seeing subjects in a particular uniform. Almost like lab coats, but that's too high level, so it's a deduction. And then I deduct something else, which is the Iran nuclear facility, because there's a large tank-like object of liquid or semi-liquid stuff here, and there's multiple of these. I'm picking up other subjects that look to be in like a military type uniform. The pattern that they're wearing is like a camel type. And then this structure X, it keeps going downwards. And then again, I'm moving around and I'm picking up multiple of the tank-like structures in several places. All right, now just to reiterate the data with the sketch that's here. So here at the top, like I said, you can see this perimeter with the barbed wire surrounding it, and then a few military-like subjects with objects in their hands, holding it like this, right in front of like the door of it. And then in blue, this is what's below the base surface. So here you see these tanks or vats of like liquid, thick-ish liquid, and there's multiple of it. And as it keeps going down, there's more of these vats of liquid here. There are these subjects that are in specialized clothing, and then in black, still beneath the base surface, there are still this military personnel that are moving around. All right, now moving to object T. My very first perception is a large object, curved like features. I think I'm seeing stripes on this as well. The surroundings where object T is looks dark, but now I don't know if this is physical darkness or if this signifies something that is hidden. A sketch of object T, so almost pencil-like shaped, but the end of it has these little wings that are sticking out. So for this, I'm deducting a missile or a weapon. I move inside object T. I'm picking up mechanical components like wires and chips. There's tubes of liquid running through object T. It feels like it's quite complex, like the actual mechanism of it or the inward workings is very complex. So zooming out, I'm seeing that there are multiple of these objects and they kind of like move in rows. So here you can see I have like, they just move, and there's quite a few of these objects here. Okay, so now I'm probing for the completion of object T. As I probe this, it feels like it's almost complete. It feels like all that's left is kind of like some fine-tuning of some components and testing of its capabilities. But I would call this maybe like 80–85% complete. All right, now I'm moving to a certain subject F here. So this feels like an older subject, medium build. It looks like his clothing is specialized or ethnic. Feels like it's a wraparound type clothing. The subject has quite a bit of facial hair. It kind of like moves downwards. I'm also seeing headgear that's circular around his head. So this is a sketch of subject F, and also seems to be wearing some wiry eyewear, like glasses. I deduct the Khomeini of Iran.
If you are enjoying the content of this video, please consider subscribing to our streaming service, FarsightPrime.com, where you will find all Farsight mystery projects, where we use remote viewing to investigate nearly every major mystery imaginable, including the reality of the very complicated extraterrestrial presence here on Earth, the solar system, and the galaxy, in addition to archaeological, religious, to deeply political mysteries of every type, and much, much more. Also consider studying Farsight's content by downloading the transcripts of Farsight Mysteries that you can find in The Vault on our regular website, farsight.org, and then uploading those transcripts to your favorite AI so that you can talk with your AI about our work at Farsight, asking your AI the deepest questions, all from the comfort of your own home or office. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Farsight, and remember to click on the notifications bell so that you can be notified of our new releases on YouTube, which includes our live stream events. And finally, please sign up for our free email newsletter that you can find on our website, farsight.org. We never send out spam, and we use our newsletter to announce all of our major offerings, including our live stream events, our deep news investigations, our ET communications, our ongoing investigations into more of the mysteries that are routinely ignored by the mainstream, and our upcoming new projects. After you watch what we bring to the table on FarsightPrime.com, you will never again look at the mainstream media, political leaders, or orthodox science or religion the same. You will find the checklist of things to do to keep you connected to our work at Farsight in the description below.
Okay, moving into a deep mind probe of subject F. Here I'm getting that the mental scape feels tired. He feels tired and fatigued. I feel like he has some strong values and opinions, and he's also quite stubborn. I get a sense that he's up against a wall, almost like he feels cornered. He draws his strength from either his belief system or a sense of righteousness, and he seems to use this to stand tall and look confident. I'm getting that this is definitely a leader of some sort, or a person in the position of leadership. So he does think himself, or whoever he's associated with, his group, he feels like they're underdogs, and I'm picking up he has foes, but he also has allies. All right, staying with subject F, let's do a cognitive impairment scale. So moving into his internal brain, starting with the natural internal brain. So it feels like his mental faculties are more or less fine. So I'm going to put this at a low scale. It just doesn't feel like there's much natural impairment. Moving to the artificial side of his internal brain, still feels like it's low. I don't sense any kind of artificial impairments that are taking place here. So now I'm going to move to the external brain. Hearing and physical is definitely quite high. It feels like the subject's peers and those around him influence his thinking. There's also some sort of traditional ways of thinking and belief systems that come into play. But this definitely, I don't know if you could call this impairment, but it impacts how he thinks greatly. Now, probing into the ET side of his external brain, there is something here, although it's subtle. It feels like maybe some nudges of influence. It feels like there's something from the ET side that's posing as part of his beliefs. Okay, now the last thing I probed for his cognitive impairment scale was the AI impairment, and here I didn't really get anything. All right, moving to group Z. So for this group, it's a group of male subjects. They look to be clothed in formal attire, so I'm seeing like suits. Mostly seeing tan-toned, light-colored subjects. Their hair, for the most part, is like black or gray. It looks like these subjects are in an indoor environment, and the indoor environment here looks well furnished, although it's kind of like aged. It kind of looks like an outdated type of style, but it's still well furnished. Okay, so I'm going to pick two of the most important members of Group Z, now doing a collective deep mind probe on these subjects. So it feels like these subjects are in the position of leadership. I get a sense that they're quite powerful. It feels like they are moving the chess pieces in the background to fit their purposes and plans. They're expansionists. They're actively trying to recruit other members to their cause. I get a sense that how they want to appear outwardly doesn't match at all how they really are inwardly. These subjects have a long-term goal. I get an image of them looking at a map of somewhere, and their plan involves this area that they're observing on the map. Now, I'm going to do a cognitive impairment scale of Group Z. So starting with the internal brain, natural side of that is, it's not like at the top of the scale, but it's almost there. It feels like there's a lot of members of Group Z that are older, and I'm getting a sort of impairment that's coming from age. I move on to the artificial side of the internal brain. Here, this is at the midpoint. It feels like there's some use of medications that are affecting cognitive capabilities. Moving to the external brain, focusing on hearing and physical. This is also high, and for this, as you can see in this sketch, I have Group Z, but then there's a shadow group that's right behind this group. And it feels like control comes down from a very powerful group who are controlling parts of Group Z's agenda. So Group Z is not at the top of the food chain. There's an even bigger group, not necessarily size-wise, but influence and power that are kind of pulling the strings for Group Z. All right, now moving to the external ET side of things. Here I'm picking up quite a significant impairment. It feels like it's quite high. It feels like Group C and their effect on the region, and that I'm seeing certain ETs who would like things to go their way or protect their interests. So in this side, there is quite a high impairments that is coming from ETs on Group Z. Now lastly, I probe for the AI impairment here. There is some subtle cues from the technology around them to kind of enforce their views and opinions. It's not like super strong, but it's definitely present. And that's all I had for this target.
Hi everyone, welcome to this Deep News Target Reveal. Here we have Intysam, and Intysam, you recorded your session by yourself in your studio, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and let's just jump right into it. You've got an email called Deep News Secret, do not open, and then you have an attachment called Deep News Secret July, which is the month that we ended up doing this deep news. So why don't you open that and read off the top line of your target, and we'll just jump right into it.
Ali Khamenei and Iran's current nuclear capabilities.
That's it. That's it. So yeah, that was it. And I remember your session does have to do with missile type things, so it's very interesting. And you have got these structures underground. I mean, you got them like pretty clear up. I mean, you got your page 9 location X, and this is I guess an investigation after the supposed bombing of the Fordo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the Fordo base in Iran. So you know, the Trump administration, the Americans, they bombed the Fordo base, which is supposedly where they're dealing with nuclear stuff, refining uranium and stuff like that. And apparently there's conflicting reports. You know, the American side says that, you know, it's destroyed, we stopped them, and then pretty much a whole bunch of the Iranian side of things are saying, no, you didn't. And the damage is less than what was expected. And Yeah, so we're doing a remote viewing session. We're investigating these things. Specifically, we have the target goal to determine the current capabilities of Iran with respect to having or creating a nuclear bomb. This includes a description of the location of the most advanced nuclear bomb-related hardware, which would include uranium refinement and stuff like that. So we've got a location X, basically, which was what I was just mentioning on page 9, which is the location of the most advanced hardware currently in the possession of Iran with respect to having or creating a nuclear bomb. So we're not saying that they have a nuclear bomb 100%. We're just in that line of thinking, what is the most possible with respect to having or creating a nuclear bomb. And then we have subject F, which is Ali Khamenei himself, the supreme religious leader of Iran. And then we have Focus 1. This is all within Focus 1, which is just the most advanced hardware currently in the possession of Iran with respect to having or creating the nuclear bomb. So, or a nuclear bomb. And yeah, very interesting session. And your subject F looks like Ali Khamenei.
I did deduct it.
You deducted it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Deducted Khomeini of Iran. I'm happy with this session.
Very good.
Yeah, no, it looks like they've still got nuclear capabilities.
Well, also, what's really interesting, if you look up on Google Images, and anyone else who's listening to this can do the same, is they type in uranium enrichment facilities, you'll find environments that are very similar to your page 12, which is basically you have location X, you have the above ground environment, an arid sort of hilly barren environment, and then a facility with sort of a perimeter or you deducted a barbed wire fence, but a perimeter. And then you have underground, or as you say, below the surface, below the base surface, you have all of these subjects in specialized clothes. And what's really interesting, the uranium enrichment facilities have a lot of these silver vertical structures, and you've got a good number of those things there. Yeah, I mean, you've got big cylinders, but you've got a lot of these clusters of small cylinders that you've drawn out in threes over there, and multiple levels to these underground structures.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, it went pretty far down.
Yeah.
And then the object T, which would be, let me look at the...
yeah.
Description of the, let's see, most advanced nuclear bomb related hardware. I'm guessing that's what I was picking up with the object
the most
T.
advanced object capable of becoming a nuclear bomb.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah.
What looked like...
You had more than one.
No, they were like rows, and they went far back. So, yeah, I guess...
I think the final, I guess, cherry on top would be your page 19. That would basically be your completion scale. How complete is object T of actually being 100% being, okay, it's a nuclear bomb right now. It's ready to go right now. Almost there. And yeah, so it's the object feels almost complete. And well, I won't repeat exactly word for word. Everyone else just heard your session. So that was fantastic. And you have one more image where you deducted Ali Khamenei on page 15. Gosh, does that look exactly like him?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, no, I was flowing in this one. Can't say that about all my sessions, but this one, no, this is interesting. And also Group Z. Who's Group Z?
That was the group who most influences the thinking of Ali Khamenei at the current time with respect to Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Interesting.
And you have a lot of hearing and physical impairment on the cognitive impairment scale.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, but Group Z also has a high hearing and physical impairment. And there's like a shadow group. I don't know what you would call that. Like another group beyond them that is influencing them.
Yeah. I honestly, we have run into these shadow groups in so many sessions. I am convinced that there is a secret country that exists, or maybe a multitude of secret nations.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty shocking for a lot of people to hear, that there is not just secret programs, but programs large enough to where we should probably just consider them their own nation state. They're just a separate, secret body that is massive, and it seems like they are constantly meddling with Earth affairs. So
they have far-reaching tentacles, that's for sure.
Far-reaching tentacles, and as you're doing on your page 20 group cognitive impairment scale for Group Z, they seem to have an extraterrestrial impairment as well, quite high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, any final questions, comments, statements? Great session.
No, this is, I think this was necessary because the government comes out and says, we destroyed their nuclear capability. No, you're fronting. Again, you're fronting. So this is good that we can use this extra journalism to dig deeper.
Yeah, it's a really important thing for remote viewing to come in at these moments, to be able to get unbiased reporting, basically, of a blind reporting, honestly, because, I mean, you didn't have any information about any of this stuff when you're doing remote viewing sessions. So, yeah, great job and fascinating session. And let's go on to the next one.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everybody, thank you, Intysam, and thank you, everybody else, for watching.